And there he goes and explains everything, the different cavities. And then he stands up and he's taking off his shoe. He goes like this and explains how the ventricle and the atria are connected with each other. I've never seen anything like that. It was extremely effective teaching, by the way.
Since the first meeting in 1989, every year we try to innovate, but this year it's not evolution, it's a revolution.
It's a massive IT enterprise.
I am Luis Ortega from Barcelona.
So I have some questions for you.
Well, thank you, Salvatore, for this really main question. Bifurcation, CTOs, calcified lesions, STEMI, non-STEMI.
So that's one session that I would recommend you to attend.
A real live conversation, real live interaction.
It's great when Jean said perfect stent, it gives you a boost.
The goal is the same, but the way to do it is totally different.
We are family.
Imagine all the people living life in peace.
EuroPCR 2021 is approaching fast. It's the 32nd edition, but it seems like everything is going to be different this year. The PCR community is wondering what exactly is going to happen and how it's all going to work, the program, the format. So to answer some of these questions, here with me, thanks to the magic of the internet, are course directors Jean Fajadet and William Wijns. Jean Fajadet, hello.
Hello, Vanessa. Hello, everybody.
And William Wijns, hello.
Great to see you, dear. How are you doing?
All good, thank you. Now, as our physical worlds have shrunk during COVID lockdowns and restrictions, our digital worlds have expanded. And PCR has been part of that, with several major events moved online over the past year. eCourse, Valve's eCourse, AICT, Asia PCR, Gulf PCR. So, gentlemen, to start us off, what's been good about being online for these various PCR events?
Yeah, right on. We managed to stay connected. The enthusiasm of the people and the colleagues to interact, creating this new chatosphere, and I was very impressed with the quality of the content.
There is one major positive point, is the global outreach. We moved from 8,000 people in Palais des Congrès in Paris to more than 60,000 people connected around the world. The fact which is really easy to get the access to the course. You have just to do this at home with your own computer. The goal is the same, but the way to do it is totally different.
Excellent. Okay. Now, moving PCR online must have impacted course design.
Many changes in the format of the meeting, the concept, many changes in that now we are close to a TV show on 4 digital channels broadcasting at the same time from 5 studios, and broadcast within the dissemination of 11 hubs around the world. So all these things are really totally different, but it's really fantastic to participate in this new evolution in digital world.
We have several video questions for you. From Mirvat Alasnag, she sent us in a video question.
Good afternoon, EuroPCR. What is the hub going to be all about, and how will it fit into the digital platform this year as well?
Thank you for this question, Mirvat, and thank you for your active contribution. We'll have 11 hubs around the world, and this is a place where colleagues from the region, the city, can meet and watch EuroPCR together. So there will be a local host, they will take care of the guests, and in a way we are restoring the physical presential interaction locally so we can avoid international traveling, which in a way is also good from an ecological point of view.
Excellent, excellent. And can you give us an idea about some of the actual content, some of the topics you're going to cover?
So we will cover a lot of topics. For the community could find their topic of interest within the four different channels. And if we consider the main arena channel and also the coronary channel, the community could find all the major topics in the coronary field, bifurcation, CTOs, calcified lesions, STEMI, non-STEMI management, etc. So all the big topics on coronary field. On the channel, valvular channel, the channel 3, they could find really all the major questions concerning the TAVI procedure, concerning the valvular intervention, and also, in addition, the intervention for tricuspid disease. And finally, on the channel 4, what we call the channel 4 plus, we could find, all the main question on the peripheral intervention, aortoiliac, below the knee, etc., and a large space reserved for hypertension and a new way of treatment with this recent positive result. In addition, you could finally find a session on the structural PFO and left atrial appendage closure. We cover really all the field of coronary structural peripheral intervention.
I have another question for you.
Hello EuroPCR family, I am Dr. Ali from Istanbul. What will be the hot topics?
I suspect that one growing area of interest is the combination of coronary disease and TAVI. The management of those patients raises a lot of interesting questions regarding indications and timing of either procedure, and that is something that will raise a lot of interaction and discussion during the different programs.
Of course, yeah. Jean Fajadet, coming back to you, I think we'll be able to see quite a few submissions from the community.
It was really impressive to see the number of submissions that we received, more than 1,300 submissions. So a lot of submission concerning science via abstract, concerning practice and techniques via the clinical case we receive, images, and innovation in the intervention. In addition to that, there will be the hands-on simulator-based learning during the 3 days. We will have a real innovative training village, and the community will have access to a lot of experts interviews in different fields of interventional cardiology. And all this program will be available on video on demand during the 3 months following the course ends.
Where will people be able to see these submissions?
The selected ones, some of them will be presented for discussion on PCR Online ahead of the meeting, particularly the images and the clinical cases, okay? And then during the course, the best ones will be presented, and also the abstracts will be available, scientific abstracts, as well as the hotlines and late-breaking trials. And all of it will stay on the platform for 3 months, because it is your submissions that create the content value of our meeting.
So we have another video question, this one from Salvatore Brugaletta.
That after a whole year of digital education due to the COVID, so we are a little bit fed up of sitting passively in front of our computers. And you talk about interaction, so how the global audience will be able to participate. What do you mean exactly by this virtual participation?
Well, thank you, Salvatore, for this really main question, because the interaction, participation of the community in the digital work was one of our really major points that we discuss and prepare for your next EuroPCR. First, a real live conversation, real live interaction between the studio and the hubs, and in parallel, there will be a strong live chat interaction between the community and what we call a group of chat master. We will answer to your question immediately.
Great. And there must have been a lot of investment in infrastructure with the technology, the studios and so on.
You bet. It's a massive IT enterprise with indeed the studios connecting with different hubs along the 3 days of the course. And this will happen in a specially designed studio that facilitates interaction, and we hope for we rely actually on very high standards of quality of the transmission as well. So it's a massive undertaking. There will also be a sanitary protocol so that all of this can happen safely.
Now I have more questions for you from the PCR community.
I am Luis Ortega from Barcelona. Professors, what do you think EuroPCR is a unique congress or virtual experience? Professor Marco recently tweeted that 2 words were key in the PCR spirit, and these words were creativity and innovation. I want to know what are your opinion, what do you think means really creativity and innovation for the PCR family and companions?
It's true when you consider innovation. This was really a main point since the first meeting in 1989. Every year we try to innovate, invent new sessions, but this year it's not evolution, it's a revolution. Revolution in the new format, new content, new platform. We have reshape, rethink, and rebuild all the course.
I have another question for you. Will there be any sessions dealing with both patient and staff radiation protection during EuroPCR 2021?
We have one very interesting program that is going to look at the management and reduction of radiation exposure for the entire team and the patient while performing a TAVI procedure. Everyone acting in the cath lab, of course the patient interventionalist, the nurses, technicians, but also the imaging specialist and anesthesiologist. This session will highlight and discuss how the team can best work in that environment in order to reduce radiation exposure. So that's one session that I would recommend you to attend.
Another question, this one from Australia. Glenn Eisen from Sydney asks, will the Nurse and Allied Health Satellite meeting, will it still be part of PCR in 2021, or will it resume when things are back to normal, hopefully in 2022?
Yes, indeed. We'll have a very strong program for healthcare professionals, nurses, technicians during the course, but also in the form of episodes that will take place and be broadcasted prior to this meeting itself. So yes, and yes, very strong program for nurses and technicians.
William, you've mentioned episodes. Can you tell me a bit more? What exactly is an episode?
Well, that's brand new. What's going to happen is that content will be released upstream of the meeting at 3 pre-specified dates starting in April, and we will release actually some teaching content, for instance, PCR clinical research episodes, content for the nurses and allied professionals, as well as the PCR's Got Talent competition. On top of that, we'll have releases of clinical cases that can be discussed by the community upstream of the meeting, and the best ones will be presented again during the course. So that's the concept of episodes, like, a Netflix series, if I can say so.
Now, we've had a series of more light-hearted, more personal questions for you. What is the funniest thing that has happened to you at EuroPCR, William?
One of our colleagues, Nico Piazza from Montreal, was giving a learning session about cardiac anatomy, particularly with respect to valves. And there he goes and explains everything, the different cavities and how they look on the screen. And then he stands up and he's taking off his shoes, like this. I'll show you. He goes like this and explains how the ventricle and the atria are connected with each other and how, they relate in the 3 dimensions. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was extremely effective teaching, by the way, because we immediately got the representation of what he was trying to teach us.
Right, and now our next question is even more light-hearted. If you had to choose a pop song for EuroPCR, what would it be?
Maybe it's a bit more disco than pop, but I would go for Till We Are Family. I've got all my sisters with me. You see, I think that is a song, We Are Family, that expresses the companionship within the community of all people who practice interventional cardiology and interventional surgery in the world. So We Are Family.
What about you? Do you have a pop song for PCR?
Yeah, it's a pop song, looking at all the world, the community, the world in peace. And this is really connected, I think, with the spirit of PCR. It's imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. What Lennon said many years ago. But I like this song.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Nice, symbolic to both of those. Thank you for that. Another question, coming back to more medical things. What is the strangest thing that has ever happened to you in the cath lab?
A strange thing that I share with my partner Bruno Farah, and it was within a TNT session in the previous EuroPCR, and we were what I will say, ridiculous, Bruno and myself. It was a critical, very difficult and geographically lesion, and we spent more than 10 minutes to try with the wire to cross this lesion. It was impossible. And really, when we are in the live demonstration, we were at that time really, it was difficult situation for us. And there are questions, comments, the people say you could do something, you could take this wire, etc., etc. So we were really open to all the comments. And during this comment, of course, we do not use fluoroscopy. And suddenly, when I push my foot on the pedal, the fluoroscopy, the wire spontaneously have crossed the lesion. So just by pushing it. So we were all the people in the room was laughing. Some of them applaud, but the feeling was that we were a little bit ridiculous. But this was quite funny.
And William, anything funny happened to you in the cath lab?
On 1 or 2 occasions, I traded one position with another one. Instead of standing next to the patient, I was lying flat on the table. So I know, how it feels. I had femoral and radial, and I have to tell you, it's a no-brainer. This is much better. But it gives, it's actually a great experience to realize what patients feel. And I can tell you when it's over and the colleague tells you, it's great. When Jean said, perfect stent, it gives you a boost. It has an immense impact on, how you feel.
Now, who was your mentor or someone who's inspired you in your career? Jean, do you have a mentor?
Oh, of course, and definitely, and there is absolutely no question on that. is Jean-Marco. Jean-Marco, I learned interventional cardiology with him in the University Hospital. Then we moved to the Clinique Pasteur. We were partner, and I worked with him within the 30 years. And really, if I'm here today, it's thanks to him. You know, during these 30 years in interventional cardiology, we had the possibility to meet some brilliant people. And I will say, because he's here in the middle of the screen, when I meet William, and when I realize, well, this for me was a gift to work with so brilliant and intelligent a person. So it's a pleasure to work with him. I hope that we will work a lot of years together, but really, it's so particular feeling. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jean. I think the two of us are a great team. It means a lot to me, as you know. There was a famous philosopher, Montaigne, who had a great friend. And he was asked, you know, why are you friends with this person? He said, because it's him and because it's me. You know, I had the privilege to be inspired by, you know, 6 or 7 great physicians and colleagues during my career. But still today, I consider the next generation of the companions from PCR as my mentors, and they really give us a lot of energy and commitment to continue on our journey. Let me quote one person. This is a young colleague who told me, you know, William, what's so special about PCR? When I deliver one of those learning sessions where I'm teaching, you know, what I think I can do well, I'm teaching it to 150 people, and each of them is going to treat their own patient. So on my own, I can treat maybe 10 patients a day when I'm very busy from 8 to 8. By sharing it with 150 colleagues, think how many colleagues I'm actually helping around the world. So that is something that is so stimulating and, you know, really pushes us to try and continue to do our very best in terms of education and sharing experience and knowledge.
So William Wijns, Jean Fajadet, thank you very much for being with us today, digitally but live, to answer these questions from the PCR community. We look forward to seeing you live on our screens in May for EuroPCR.